Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. So today you may have already seen my Pool 1 build, which was a Spectrum ongoing deck list for the Project Pegasus hot location. If you haven't, I understand, check it out, it's pretty decent. You can adapt it for Pool 2 as well, so if that's more your flavor, then check that one out. But for Pool 2, I'm building one specifically around Infinaut. And so Infinaut has the really cool interaction that if Project Pegasus is the first location that comes up, typically you have to skip a turn to be able to play the Infinaut onto the board. But with this location, if it turns up first, because no cards were played last turn, because there wasn't a last turn, you can actually play Infinaut onto the board on turn 1, which is insane value. And then at that point, you can just worry about either dropping an armor to protect that lane, locking down another lane with Storm. You have some kind of play around and wiggle around potential after that. And so the overall idea of this deck list, besides Leech is here just to kind of disrupt them if we don't have Infinaut in our starting hand. Sometimes we want to play Leech to maybe take away their strong ongoing abilities, to take away their really powerful plays, and kind of stick them with cards that are less valuable. This could easily be something like an Iron Man or a Hobgoblin instead to give you more upside. But I like the Leech because sometimes it causes people to rage quit. But the rest of this deck is more of a kind of control aspect. And so it has a lot of low cost cards along with your Angela to be able to continue to buff that up. That is going to be one of your potential secondary win conditions. It also has Storm as a way to lock down a location and turn it into a flooded location if we don't have anything in there prior to it and we drop Storm. The next turn we can drop a Jessica Jones, and that is going to be a way to get an easy 8 power advantage over the opponent. A lot of times on turn 4, the opponent can't swing 8 power onto the board. And so that's going to be a really hard combo to beat, is the Storm into the Jessica Jones. We have Sunspot in this list as well, but we are cautious of Killmongers. And so we also have Armor as a way to help protect our Sunspot in case there are Killmongers, in case there are Shang-Chis. And the rest of the deck is just kind of a low curve to play a lot of power quickly. And then we have those late game lockdowns with either Storm and Jessica Jones. We have Chavez as a way to help us draw into our Infinaut, our other cards, earlier than we would have so that we can use them for Project Pegasus and then potentially drop Chavez on that last turn. And it helps us curve into kind of our higher power plays because we have one less card to potentially draw into until turn 6. And so overall, this deck list navigates pretty well. If you get Project Pegasus or if you get outplayed, don't overcommit to a location. That is my biggest advice for a hot location, for a featured location, is don't overcommit. Yes, you may have a great build for that location, but if you don't get to utilize your Infinaut, if you don't get to utilize Storm, you lose a lot of potency and the opponent could pretty easily outpower you at that point. Try to strategically retreat whenever you don't have the advantage, or press your advantage whenever you do. So if you know you're dropping Infinaut on 2 or on 1, maybe snap before that comes down, knowing that you might have the advantage coming into that next turn. But that is the brief rundown of the deck list. Let's go ahead and jump in to a few games. All right, so first up we have Randall Thor, and the first location is Project Pegasus, and we also happen to have our Infinaut, which is phenomenal. So the reason that we put Infinaut in here, normally you have to skip the first turn before you can play Infinaut. But since we got Project Pegasus first, we actually don't have to skip a turn because technically we haven't played anything. So the last turn meets this requirement. So let's go ahead and play it into the far right lane. That gives us a huge, oh my gosh, that gives us a huge early game boom. And they ran the Professor X. It looks like maybe similar to what we ran in the free-to-play build. They were going for the Professor X cheese, but we just snapped them out of it with the Infinaut. They're not going to be able to overcome that power. And so then we were going to Storm Sokovia on... We were going to drop Armor and then Storm on 3 and then Jessica Jones on 4. And that should have given us enough push in that lane to win that one as well. Let's go ahead and jump over into game number 2. All right, so next up we have Thompson Wins, and first location is Weir Island, which is going to be pretty decent. I think we start with our Iceman. We also have the disruption of Korg, which is kind of what we designed this deck around, being able to disrupt, and then if we draw into Project Pegasus, great. If not, then I think we kind of go from there. So we do get Project Pegasus. We're going to be able to drop Leech on turn 2, which is going to impact quite a few of their cards. Had we skipped last turn, we actually could have dropped our Infinaut. Unfortunately, we didn't. Let's go ahead and we're gonna snap. We're gonna drop Angela. We're gonna drop Leech, all into Muir Island. That way, they continue to get bonuses over time. And then everything that's in the opponent's hand is going to lose their ability. And so if they're running if they're wanting to do a late game, I don't know, Spectrum. If they're wanting to do, well, that's unfortunate. We lose Muir Island because, I mean, we could draw into our Enchantress. That's what we have to hope for, is hitting Enchantress here. We could take over the Iron Man and absolutely swing this location very, very drastically. We have several turns to still do it, so I think that's what we're going to hold out for. We did get to draw into our Sunspot with Hell's Kitchen, so that actually thinned our deck a little bit. So let's go ahead and play Armor and Sunspot. That will protect our Sunspot from any kind of like Killmonger play, and we're still holding out hope for an Enchantress. That is going to be our big way to kind of surprisingly swing this location away from the opponent when they may think that they have it locked down. Okay, Jessica Jones is decent. We can drop her. We can drop her here. We can skip on 5. If we don't draw into Enchantress, then we're not going to draw into it on 6 because of our Chavez. So we have a 1 out of 3 shot of drawing into her next. We have a 33% chance of swinging and winning this game, essentially. Those are odds. I wouldn't say they're great odds, but they're odds. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So now we can do a couple things. So we can either skip this turn and let our Sunspot absorb some energy, let them think that they have this one hands down. We can drop Enchantress now, but I think that'll scare them away. We can drop we can drop Korg just to drop it. This gets a +4 power bonus. This will absorb 4 more power, so that's going to be another 8 power in this lane. And we've already snapped, so I'm not sure why they haven't snapped, honestly. Let's go ahead and skip here. I know that it makes more sense to just play it now, but I'm going for a bigger cube gain. If we can lull them into a false sense of security where they think they have Muir Island locked down and that they can just swing Project Pegasus, from that point, we have a much more strategic advantage in being able to sneak that last turn either extra 2 cubes or even maybe an extra 6 cubes away. Because they're gonna feel confident in this lane, depending on what they drop here. And there comes the snapback. So let's hope that now let's hope that we didn't overemphasize our hand. But the reason we slow played Enchantress was to give them that false sense of security, and they did end up snapping. So they did play into kind of what we thought they were going to. We just have to hope that this is enough. I think it will be, because this is going to take away a huge amount of their power. We're going to get an extra +2 here, so it's going to be a 6 power swing. It's going to take away at least 20 power from their end. I think it's our win condition. But if they drop a really big card here, ooh, no, they drop Hulk in mid. Okay, that's it. That's game. So we slow played it. We took it from winning 2 cubes to winning 8 cubes because we held our advantage. We held that Enchantress until the very last turn so that we could drop it as a surprise play and steal a lane that they thought they had locked down without a doubt and make it in our favor, giving us the win. And so let's go ahead and jump into the next one. All right, next up we have KO Dojo Crow. And the first location is Atlantis. We do have our Sunspot in hand. We have our Infinaut. I'm going to wait at least 1 turn before playing anything. If Project Pegasus comes out as the second location, I want to be able to drop the Infinaut onto the board since we have him in hand. If we didn't have him in hand, we would just go ahead and play cards. Okay, Wakandan Embassy actually kind of helps us by giving us that additional power. Let's go ahead and take that. We're going to run with it. We're going to wait 1 more turn. Maybe it's the last location, and then we can throw down that 22 power onto the board relatively easily. And if not, then okay. Okay, if not, it's fine. We do have our Sunspot. We have our armor to protect our Sunspot as well. And let's see. Do we want to play into Wakandan Embassy? Do we want to play into Atlantis? Let's go ahead and push quite a bit of power into the Wakandan Embassy lane. Depending on what we draw into next, maybe we start leaning into the Superflow. Maybe we don't. I am glad that we dropped as many cards as we did onto the board because they dropped a Sandman, and that is going to limit us to 1 card per turn. They don't get the extra energy anymore, which is interesting. We can drop Jessica Jones and Core. Oh, wait. We can only drop 1. We can drop Jessica Jones into mid and then just wait. We're going to skip on turn 5. We're going to let it absorb some energy in Wakandan Embassy. That lane is going to be absolutely stacked. And then we can drop our 22 power Infinaut into Atlantis, and it's going to be an easy win. So we're actually going to snap back here. We're going to snap back and we're going to skip. And the Sandman into Superflow seems kind of bot-like. But guys, do you know if the paid avatars, if bots have paid avatars? I didn't think they did, but maybe I was wrong, because that does seem very bot-like. I know that they're probably spreading out their ongoing cards because they want to drop a last turn Spectrum, but honestly, that's fine. Let's go ahead and drop our Infinaut onto the board. We're gonna get 1 additional energy into our Sunspot, but I don't think that's a make or break. Even if they did something like an Iron Man into mid, that's only 18 plus another 6, so it's like 20 something. It's less than 26 for sure. Okay, so they do end up going with the Spectrum. That gives them a pretty big power push in Atlantis because of the +5, but it's just not going to be enough to hold it down. We have the big Infinaut coming in, and we get an easy 8 cubes. Oh, right. Next up we have EU. I think it's EOO or EOD, end of day. I don't know. The first location is Danger Room, which isn't great for us. We do have armor that we can play in there to be able to stack some cards and not have to worry about cards getting destroyed. We have our Storm in hand, so we can always take one of the cards or locations away. Let's go ahead and lean into Kiln. We're going to play a few cards early. We also have Storm, so we're going to be able to play that on 3, and then 2 locations are going to lock down after turn 4. So that can be pretty advantageous for us. They play Mr. Sinister in Danger Room. It doesn't get destroyed. They get the upside there. Ooh, I like this Sunspot play. That's going to allow us to do Sunspot into one of the lanes to make sure that we lock that one down. And so depending on where they drop their cards. Okay, so they do a Cosmo into Kiln. We do Storm, so both of these are going to lock themselves down after this turn, or after turn 4, which is going to be the final turn they can be played in. So let's do a Sunspot into Kiln. Let's do an Iceman into the flooded location. I don't think that's going to be enough to win it, but I do want to get Sunspot kind of snuck into one of these locations. If they bet wrong and they play into Kiln instead of flooded, or they overcommit to 1, maybe we get lucky and we can absorb that upside with the Sunspot. That is our goal. That is what we're hoping for, is that they pick wrong. Because if they play into Kiln, I don't think they can compete overall. Okay, so we tie the flooded location right now, but more than likely they have like a Squirrel Girl or something that is going to push power over that direction, which becomes a little bit scary. Let's go ahead and drop our Leech. Let's go ahead and drop our Leech onto the board. If they do have Squirrel Girl and they don't drop it this turn, maybe we can make it where they're not going to be able to drop it at all. Because if we can tie the flooded location, maybe we can get some upside and either tie or, ooh, Blue Marvel. Can it please get destroyed? Please, thank you. We get the 25% positivity boost. Everything they had in their hand no longer has an ability. And so we can lean in on hoping that our Chavez is fine. So it's either... So assuming that they didn't draw into something this turn that can push power wide. If we skip here, we get 6 extra power. We win this lane by 9. Right now we're losing this one by 1. If they play any more than 9 and it sticks more than 9 power, then we would lose the tiebreaker. Is the gamble worth it? It's a 1 out of 4 shot that whatever they drop gets destroyed. It's a 1 out of 4 shot that whatever we drop gets destroyed. It's a tough decision. We could also split and go like a Korg and a Jessica Jones. This feels a certain type of way. Let's go with Chavez. If we go Chavez, they also have a chance to lose their power as well. And at the end of the day, we're currently winning this one, the tiebreaker, by an extra... Oh no, and it's gone. Oh no. Can the Hobgoblin please get destroyed? Yes! Oh my gosh, that Danger Room was dangerous. That was the most active Danger Room I think I have ever played into. That was 3 triggers in a row. So for any of your games that you get a Danger Room and it doesn't destroy anything, that is because we got all of the triggers right there. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and a comment down below. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.